everyone, I'm going to be reading chapter 28 of Gangsta Granny. Chapter 28, Hung, Drawn and Quartered. I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, said the Queen in her clipped tones, but might we get back to the important matter at hand? I still don't understand why the two of you are here in the Tower of London in the middle of the night, smelling of poo-poo and attempting to steal my jewels. Well, once I started, the lie grew and grew, Your Majesty, continued Granny, avoiding Ben's eyes. I didn't mean for it to happen. I just get carried away, I suppose. It was so nice to spend extra time with my grandson, to have fun with him. It reminded me of how I used to read him bedtime stories. That was in the days when he didn't find me boring. Ben fidgeted. He started to feel guilty. Granny had lied to him, and that was horrible, but she'd only done it because she was upset that he thought that she was dull. I had fun too, whispered Ben. Granny smiled at him. I'm glad, little Benny. I'm so sorry. I really... Ahem! Interrupted the Queen. Oh yes, said Granny. Well, before I knew it, things had snowballed and we were planning to take on the most daring robbery of all time. We climbed up the sewage pipe, by the way. We don't usually smell like this, Your Majesty. I should hope not. Pooh-wee! Ben was feeling really guilty now. Even Granny had never been an international jewel thief. She certainly wasn't boring. She had helped plan this robbery with him, and now they were here in the Tower of London at midnight, talking to the Queen, no less. I have to do something to help her, Ben realised. The robbery was my idea, Your Majesty, he said. I'm so sorry. Please, let my grandson go, interjected Granny. I don't want his young life ruined. I beg you. We were going to return the crown jewels tomorrow night, I promise. A likely story, murmured the Queen. It's true, exclaimed Ben. Please do what you want with me, Your Majesty, continued Granny. Have me locked up here in the tower forever, if you like, but I beg you, let the boy go. The Queen looked lost in thought. I really don't know what to do, said the Queen eventually. I am touched by your story. As you know, I am a grandmother, and my grandchildren find riddles sometimes. Really? asked Ben. But you're the Queen? I know. The Queen chuckled. Ben was stunned. He had never seen the Queen laugh before. She was usually so serious and never cracked a smile when giving her speech. On TV at Christmas, or even opening the Parliament, or even watching comedians at the Royal Variety Show. But to them, I'm just a boring old granny, she continued. They forget I was young once. And they too will be old one day, added Granny, with a meaningful look to Ben. Exactly, my dear, agreed the Queen. I think the younger generation need to have a bit more time for the elderly. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, said Ben. If I hadn't been so selfish and moaned about old people being boring, none of this would have ever happened. There was an uncomfortable silence. Granny rummaged in her handbag and offered the Queen a bag of Murray Mints. Murray Mint, Your Majesty? Yes, please, said the Queen. She unwrapped it and popped it into her mouth. Gosh, I haven't had one of these in years. They're my favourite, said Granny. And they last so long, added the Queen, as she sucked it before composing herself again. Do you know what happened to the last man who attempted to steal the crown jewels? Inquired the Queen. Was he hung, drawn and quartered? Asked Ben excitedly. Believe it or not, he was pardoned, said the Queen with a wry smile. There's a picture of the Queen and Granny sharing some Murray Mints. Pardoned, Your Majesty, said Granny. In 1671, an Irish man by the name of Colonel Blood tried to steal them, but he was caught by the guards as he tried to escape. He had this very crown I'm wearing now under his cloak and dropped it on the ground just outside. King Charles II was so amused by Colonel Blood's daring attempt that he set him free. I must Google him, said Ben. I don't know what Googling is, said Granny. Nor me, chuckled the Queen. So in royal tradition, that's what I'm going to do. pardon you both." "Oh, thank you, your Majesty," said Granny, kissing her hand. Ben fell to his knees. "Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, your Majesty." "Yes, yes, don't grovel," said the Queen haughtily. "I can't abide grovelling. I have met far too many grovellers during my reign." "I'm so sorry, your majestic royal Majesty," said Granny. "That's exactly what I mean. You're grovelling now," replied the Queen. Ben and Granny looked at each other in fear. It was not to speak. It was hard not to speak to Her Majesty without grovelling, at least a little bit. "Now, jolly along quickly, please," said the Queen, "before this whole place is overrun with guards. And don't forget to watch me on the telly on Christmas Day." That's the end of that chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening. Bye.